Hey guys, welcome back to the studio. I'm really excited about today's lesson. We're going to do some color mixing and we are going to be doing greens. Yay! I can still get in funks where it does not matter if I mix purple and black together. I get the same green that I've been mixing over and over, which those two colors obviously don't make green. Sometimes it just doesn't matter like how I change up the mixture. It just seems like I'm still getting the same value and the same green. And over the years, I've learned some tips and tricks and just really great techniques on how to make really pretty and natural greens. I think people don't realize how much you have to neutralize or knock down a green. Actually, almost every color of paint that goes on my canvas is knocked down. I either call it knock down or neutralize. It's where you make it more gray. And a lot of times for grass, especially when I'm doing sunlit things where I'm wanting to show the light and the shadow of things, I use a lot of yellow. That actually reads really well as a bright sunlit day. This is a good example. This grass here may look really bright and like the sun's hitting it in a vibrant green, but it's very yellow, especially more on this side where the sun's coming from this side. And I'm making the green as it goes along less yellow and a little darker as it moves along. That helps get the visual that the sun is hitting it. I paint my house a lot, and this this green right here, what your brain reads as green, is pretty much yellow ochre. It's a mixed color, but it's very yellow ochre here and then even a little orangier as it goes back. I think this is a great example of like the yellow and how it feels sunlit and it's very neutral. These leaves right here, which I love the way these flowers and leaves turned out, it's one of my favorite parts of the painting. These are very similar to that grass color, just very yellow ochre, very just muddied yellow, and it reads really well in a painting. I probably knocked those back and down multiple times in the process because it just read too dark and loud. Okay, last one. So this is just a really loose painting. A lot of times your brain just says, oh, leaf, that equals green. Oh, stem, that equals green. Often, if you will just tell your brain to shut up and use some other colors like yellow, this is a more red. These little places look very neon. They're actually probably not nearly as neon as what you think. If you saw them on my palette before they were in with all these other neutrally colors, it would look much grayer. But there's something about when you get these neutral colors together, they play well and they actually brighten a painting. And then down here, I also just have like orange. I have a pink stem. I have little pink stems in there too. Play around with that and think outside the box a little bit on the greens that you use. Okay, let's jump into the actual color mixing. Yay! I'm excited about it. I really hope it's helpful. Let's first go through the palette before we actually start mixing our greens. The tube colors are going to be Cad Yellow, Lemon Pure, Cad Light. This is basically raw sienna or yellow ochre-ish. I mix this myself. A raw sienna that I mix myself. Alizarin Crimson. This is a Cad Red Pale. This is a titanium white. Muck. This is also muck and muck greens over here, just mixtures of stuff scraped off my palette. This is going to be a ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, cerulean blue. This is ivory black, and then again just muck leftover stuff. This right here I've squeezed out on my palette, which is burnt umber. We'll also be using it to mix greens today. I like to have a cool and a warm of each color on my palette. Take one of your yellows and mix it with a blue. So this is my lemon yellow. You would want to take some of that and then just take a dab of your ultramarine and see what you come up with. Pretty vibrant green. And then you could play around with that by pushing it more to the yellow by taking more yellow or more blue. And you would get a bluer green or a yellower. And then the way you neutralize that is you add red to it. Added way too much, but you can see how that kind of basically turned that into a brown. Add a little blue and you can just push that mixture. You may feel like that's a really dulled down green, but that is actually would be a really beautiful green in a painting. Do that lemon yellow with your cobalt, then do that lemon yellow with your cerulean. You're going to see here how potent cerulean is. Look how vibrant. That's just straight up neon green right there. You cannot get any more neon green. So if you needed a neon green, that's a good mixture for it. That is not a green you would want to use for most paintings, but it will make a beautiful green. Add a little red, and it's starting to neutralize and actually making a really pretty. This is not a mixture I use very often, but I'm liking how this looks. So there's another nice neutralized green. I really like that actually. And then I would do the same thing, add cad red to your other mixture here. There's a kind of a yellowy right there. I really need to get some paint. That's another great, ooh, I really like that. Okay, another good, just neutral green. Now that you would take your cad yellow and do the same thing. Go through your blues and your reds and see what you get. I'm not going to do that here because I want to get to the main thing that I'm wanting to show you here, what actually is my go-to for making greens in my paintings. Almost every green that you would see in a painting of mine is actually mixed with either my lemon yellow, either take a lemon yellow or I take my cad yellow light and actually mix it with a black. And the reason is because this is kind of a bluish black. Let me add a little white to this. So it actually does look very gray here, but I don't know if you can tell the blue in it or not. You can see that it has a cooler tint to it. It's just a really pretty gray. So what I like to do is take my ivory black. Let's take this lemon yellow and add it to this. And you're going to see immediately this beautiful green. But look at that green. That's really pretty. It's just a really great way to get an immediate neutral green. Now, obviously, that's a little dark. So if we wanted to lighten that, nice bright spring green right there. Take it even a little more yellow. I don't know if that's going to show up as much of a difference. Let's add a little white to that. You can also, if you'll watch how I'm mixing the paint with my brush, I do this twisty, twirly thing. Let me show you what this ivory black does when we add it to cad yellow light. We'll put it right here. Take a little of our ivory black and you get a warmer green. Load my brush up. That's what you always want to do. You don't want to just dabble in that paint. I want to load it up. And let's put it right here. Look how warm. That's actually that's a color I would use right there for grass. Let's take it up even more, make it a little darker. Now I'm getting a loaded up brush. That's how I like it. Really nice. That would be a great shadow green right there. Another option instead of using black is burnt umber. We'll give you a little warmer. So let's try that with our lemon yellow. Let's add a little, see what we get. That brown is pretty intense. We've got to add a lot of yellow to it. All right. It's almost yellow ochre right there. Let's say we want to just knock that up just a tiny bit. Whoa, that was not a tiny bit. What we got? Pretty bright green, actually. Now let's see what this burnt umber does with a little, get just a tiny bit of that. That stuff was strong. Cad yellow light. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay, let's try this. Now you may think that looks straight up like yellow ochre, and you would be right, but it actually is a really pretty green. And if I needed to make it a little yellower, maybe I wanted to add some white and see what that does. This would be a real pretty spring green leaf color right here, if you ask me. Ooh, look at that. That's nice. Another thing that you can do, let's say you do have a tube green that you really like. Maybe you keep a couple greens on your palette, like a viridian green or an emerald green. It is super sonic bright. It's nothing I would ever use straight out of the tube. But if you use your neutralizing tips, you can take that green, see how bright that is? Woo doggy. Let's put that on the palette. So I can show you what green straight out of the tube, how fluorescent it looks. Yowzers. I mean, it's just like obnoxious. That was the word I was looking for. I mean, it makes everything else just look weird. But let's say we take a little of our red. Let's do a warm red and mix that. Now I've just knocked that green down and made it a really pretty neutral. It's pretty dark, so we could lighten it by adding some yellow. Let's see what this ridiculous emerald green does. Okay. Got a little thin there, brother. I don't know why I'm getting so stingy here. This kind of makes me think of like a forest color. Oh, wow. This is like a good forest color right here. Added more of that burnt umber. That's a nice dark, isn't it? And if you wanted to push it, just grab you a little yellow, mix that right in. I love doing color charts. I feel like so many times students complain and moan about color charts, which I just don't know how in the world you can do that because they're so fun. But that's how you learn your palette. I really kind of wish this guy right here was not on here because he's throwing everything off. Let's cover him up. Ah, that looks so much better. Okay guys, I hope that was helpful. I hope it was informative. I hope you're excited about going to make color charts. Whoa! Maybe you're not, I don't know. But I do hope it was helpful. Practice just knocking those things down. I'd love to hear from you. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will see you next time. I'll be back on here soon.